Welcome back to Game Galaxy, and today I really don't have anything really planned of what I was going to say, but I just wanted to come on and say that I recently just completed Final Fantasy XV. This is the deluxe version. It's got really cool artwork on it, and this game was so incredible. I can't contain my excitement. It was unbelievable. I absolutely loved it, and I'm the kind of person, if you can't tell, obviously I get overexcited about things from time to time, and I'm not sure if that's it now, but honestly, Final Fantasy XV might be my new Final Fantasy. I just fell in love with these characters. It is unbelievable. The main character, Noctis, Gladio, Prompto, and Ignis, they're incredible characters, and the interpersonal relationships between those bros was just amazing. And, you know, the great thing about interpreting stories, everybody has their own personal interpretation of it, and while there is kind of a more overarching story of the Luna character and Noctis, to me, the game was about the four friends and their interpersonal relationships with one another, and it was fantastic. I just can't believe, like, first of all, the game is just beautiful, man. The colors, the amount of just mystery and imagination poured into the world is like unparalleled and sucked me in. And look, this is one of those rare games where the side quests were really fun to do, and like I wanted to do them. Even something as simple as the monster hunts, I would just want to do them, and it was very fun. And that's really hard to do for me. Usually, I've gotten better at it. I feel like Ubisoft has trained my mind on doing side stuff from Assassin's Creed and Far Cry games. But this was just so much fun to do that. And I actually played 50 hours. About 50 hours of just doing side quests with only a couple of story missions done. And I actually made myself stop because I was like, man, I should just go beat the game because before I get too buff and it's too easy. And then I went ahead and did the thing. But you know what? I'm really happy I spent those 50 hours doing those side quests first, because it really built a camaraderie and a rapport between your friends. I keep almost calling them the bros, but your friends and just me along that journey with these guys, and me feeling like getting to know them. And you know, unfortunately, I will say, if I would have just done the story missions one after another, that would have been extremely short. As far as like the main big heavy hitter story missions, it would go over very quick. And if I had done that, I would have been like, that's it? And I'm really happy I didn't. But even though there's side quests or monster hunts, there's so much little nuanced interactions between all of them, the way they would talk to each other while you're on the missions, that just kind of build that story, that adventure along with them. And it was fantastic. I mean, here's just something random that I absolutely loved. I was walking around at night, and Ignis, the group's caretaker, was like, "Noct, your shirt's frayed. When we get to camp, hand it over to me so I can fix it." And your main character, Noctis, is like, "Nah, I'll take care of it when we get to the camp." Now, a full game day took place where I was out questing, doing whatever, and later that evening, Ignis said, as a follow-up conversation, a whole game day had passed. He said, "Noct, did you fix your shirt last night?" "Ah, nah, I didn't." And he's like, "That's it, you're giving it to me at camp." And it was just those little interactions where they'd have these real conversations, like life conversations, and something as small as that was just such a nice touch and detail. And I've got to hand it to all the writers of Final Fantasy XV and the voice actors. I was so impressed. You know, we're always so worried that like video game voice acting has come so far. I absolutely love it. I mean, we've got really talented actors doing great things these days. However, Final Fantasy has been prone to some pretty awful voice acting before. So I was a little bit worried that, you know, they might get that, but they did a really nice job. The guy who was Noctis was fantastic. Gladio, all of them, man. Ignis, Prompto, they're just fantastic. And dude, it was so good. So this game is also heavily emotional, and I'm an emotional type guy, and I love that. I shed a bunch of tears throughout this game because I was able to empathize in a lot of situations. And you know, Final Fantasy stories have a tendency to be emotional and have those things. And I tell you, at the ending of the game, it's just a swirl of like a mix of emotions. My wife happened to be next to me. We both were just teary-eyed and just like, it's not like it's sad, 100%, So the only word I can say is emotional. This is one of those extremely rare instances that even though I fully complete the story, I still want to keep going out and questing and doing side quests. And there are post-game quests that happen after you beat the main story. So I am still playing this game. Right now, at the time of this video, I've got about 75 hours into this already. I was luckily had a good break from work, so I was able to put in the time with this, and I look forward to putting in much more time. I guarantee I'm going to be over 100 hours like that. And you know, I'm saying this is a rare moment, but I can't think of any other game that I finished the main story and continued to play. And so I just love how it was executed. I really wish there was a little more of the main story, because like I said, if I had just done that, it was short. And that's why I am saying that this may be my new Final Fantasy, favorite Final Fantasy. I'm a really big, obviously Final Fantasy VII was the first one I played, like many, and that always had a special place in my heart. I actually only ever played that game once, and I'm planning to replay it one more time before the new game comes out. And as far as some of my other favorites were, I really like Final Fantasy V, as well as the original 3. I have not played the DS or 3D one. I played a translated ROM back in the day for the Nintendo or Famicom, as it were. But I still need to play 6 and 9, and I haven't done the 13s. So I know there's a lot of people that love Final Fantasy VI. Don't worry, I plan on playing it this year for sure, absolutely. But man, I just, look, this gives me, the engine they created was absolutely wonderful and beautiful. And I was very skeptical about the Final Fantasy VII remake, because I didn't want to see it. And I was always like, why do they gotta remake things? You know, I'm an old man. And I was scared it would take the charm away from what Final Fantasy VII was. But if they're doing it with the Final Fantasy 15 engine and that combat system, I am on board. In fact, I've been lamenting for years that, like, can't we get an RPG with a turn-based combat? I miss turn-based combat. Like, Final Fantasy X had a great turn-based thing. It was still, it was fast, it was fun. But after experiencing the combat of Final Fantasy 15, which at first, I thought, especially with that demo, the Platinum demo, I thought it was a hands-off experience. But when you learn the flow of when you're supposed to attack and block, it is so addicting. And I think that's why the side quest hunts are so incredibly fun, because the combat, which is a big part of any RPG really, is phenomenal and extremely fun. And as you gain powers as Noctis, it's just extremely satisfying. And the summons in the game are epic. When you get like Rama, the Thunder God, and he just scorches the whole ground, it is incredible. And the choirs are epically, clamoring. It is so fantastic. So, I said this in a couple other videos. I feel like people might be turned off to Final Fantasy 15 just for the fact that the number 15 is after it. They're like, that can't be good. It's got to be like Call of Duty or Madden. Don't let that deter you. If you've never played a Final Fantasy, this is a great place to start. It has a lot of things that old fans like myself like. And, even when you put up the game, it says a Final Fantasy for first-timers and long-time fans. And they really just put a lot of love letter touches in there to long-time fans. And it felt like a really great Final Fantasy. And honestly, this gives me hope for the franchise and hope for the future. And I'm really excited for that future, because to me, at least this is such a personal success. I have not spent any time watching other people's reactions or reviews of this, because I didn't want anything spoiled. And obviously I'm not spoiling anything here, I'm just saying it's good! But I really hope that people love this, because what I wanted for this game was to put Final Fantasy back on top. Like, that's my beloved Final Fantasy, the king of all RPGs. And I want to see that again. And I know I don't really want to comment on it since I didn't play the 13s, but I was just kind of like, meh, and so many of my friends who are avid RPG players were like, dude, it is true. The joke you're hearing, I think JonTron even did a joke, is that it's like you're always running down a hallway. And it's like, final hallway, I think is JonTron's video. So all I'm doing is putting a megaphone to the internet and saying, you owe it to yourself, if you are an RPG fan or if you love adventure, to play Final Fantasy 15. It is absolutely incredible, engrossing, a fantastic score. That's something else I wanted to say. I was worried that Final Fantasy would lose its charm or touch since Nobuo Uematsu, I believe, is not doing the music anymore. I think, I forget the woman's name who composed the music for this, but she did a phenomenal job. I actually really love the music of this game. I thought it was so good. So, Final Fantasy 15. Guys, please go get yourself a copy of this game. Play it. It's like the 16th best, I don't know, 16 or 15, I don't know where it is on the charts of best-selling PlayStation 4 games. We should make it number 1, in my opinion. It's so great. So thank you for watching me clamor and my genuine excitement and love for Final Fantasy 15. I'm super excited for the future of Final Fantasy. Take care.